She was forced by her family to marry her sister's millionaire fiancé, and Coma. Unbelievable happened. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's return to our main character. The fluorescent lights of St. Vincent's Hospital buzz faintly overhead, the sharp scent of antiseptic filling the halls. Outside the ICU doors, a storm lashes against the windows, rain sliding down the glass like a warning. Inside, 23-year-old Clara James sits stiffly on a cold plastic chair, clutching the hem of her thrift store dress so tightly her knuckles ache. Her family surrounds her, their designer coats and polished shoes an intentional reminder of what she is not. At the head of the group is Aunt Margaret, her voice low but commanding. "Clara, you will do this. Your sister ran off. The wedding can't be canceled. Do you understand the shame it would bring if people found out?" Clara's lips tremble. She glances at the room beyond the glass machines, beep steadily. Tubes tangle like vines. And on the bed lies Ethan Cole, the 32-year-old heir to the Cole fortune. Once a commanding CEO, now pale and motionless, trapped in a coma since the accident that nearly claimed his life. Clara whispers, "I'm not his fiancé. I'm not supposed to." "You have no choice." Margaret cuts her off sharply. "The engagement contract was signed. If the marriage doesn't happen, your mother's hospital bills won't be covered. Do you want to see her treatment stopped?" The words land like a blade. Clara's mother frail, coughing blood into tissues in a clinic across town. Clara swallows hard, tasting salt, though no tears have yet fallen. A lawyer in a crisp suit steps forward with a manila folder. "All it requires is your signature. A civil ceremony can be conducted here in the hospital chapel tomorrow. Just a formality. You'll be Mrs. Cole, nothing more. No one has to know the truth." Her hands shake as she takes the pen. She looks again at Ethan through the glass. His chest rises and falls mechanically, his face striking even in stillness, framed by dark hair. She remembers seeing him once on the cover of Forbes, surrounded by flashing cameras, untouchable. And now this. Clara signs. The scratch of ink on paper sounds louder than the rain outside. The next day, under the dim glow of the chapel's stained glass, Clara stands before a priest. Her second-hand dress is pressed but plain. A nurse wheels in Ethan's bed, the monitors following with their beeping. A simple band of gold is slipped onto her trembling finger, and vows are spoken with her silent husband to be lying unconscious at her side. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." The words echo in her skull. Her breath shudders. Applause does not come, only the faint hum of machines. Later that evening, when the family has left, Clara remains. She pulls a chair close to the bed and stares at the man she now legally belongs to. His skin is cool under the hospital's harsh lights. She whispers, "I'm sorry. I never wanted this, but I had no choice." Her voice cracks. She wipes at her eyes with the sleeve of her dress. On the bedside table, she sets down her mother's old locket, her only keepsake, as if anchoring herself to something real. The heart monitor keeps its steady rhythm. Clara leans closer, speaking softly, as if the man could hear her through the fog of unconsciousness. "I'll stay, at least until you wake up. Someone should." Outside, the storm finally breaks, the rain slowing to a drizzle. Inside, in the quiet hum of machines, a bond has already begun to form, one neither of them could have predicted. The rain hasn't stopped by the next morning. Clouds hang low over the city, and the windows of Clara's tiny apartment rattle against the wind. She hasn't slept. Her thrift store dress lies folded on the chair, still damp from the hospital air. On her kitchen table, a stack of unpaid bills stares back at her: electricity, overdue rent, and a final notice from the pharmacy. Clara stirs a spoon through a chipped mug of coffee that tastes more like water than caffeine. Her stomach growls, but she ignores it. She picks up the phone, checks for messages, and finds one from the clinic. "Clara, your mother's medication can't be extended without payment. Please come in today." Her throat tightens. She closes the phone quickly, as if shutting the message could erase it. Across the room, her mother, pale and coughing softly, lies bundled in blankets on a worn-out sofa. Clara kneels beside her, brushing strands of gray hair from her face. "Did you sleep, Mom?" she asks gently. Her mother smiles faintly. "Better than you did, sweetheart. Your eyes tell on you." Clara forces a laugh, but her chest aches. She wants to tell her mother everything, that she was forced into a marriage she never chose, that she now carries the title Mrs. Cole even though the man she married hasn't opened his eyes in months. But she swallows it. The truth would only break her mother's heart. Instead, she whispers, "Don't worry, I'll figure something out." Her mother squeezes her hand weakly. "You always do." Hours later, Clara walks the long, sterile halls of Street Vincent's again. Every beep of the monitors reminds her that she is bound to a man who doesn't know she exists. Family members in suits pass by with cold glances, whispering behind her back. To them, she's nothing but a stand-in, a desperate girl in over her head. At the elevator, she overhears a voice sharp, amused. Her cousin Lydia, draped in designer silk, leans close to another relative. "Can you believe it? Clara James married into the Cole fortune, the girl who couldn't even pay her own rent. If Ethan ever wakes up, imagine his face when he realizes who's wearing his ring." The laughter cuts deep. Clara lowers her head, gripping her worn satchel tighter. That evening, when she returns home, the landlord is waiting outside her door. His voice is clipped. "Clara, the rent was due 2 weeks ago. I can't keep letting this slide. I just need time," she pleads. "You've said that before. I've already got someone else lined up for this unit. End of the month, you'll have to vacate." The door slams shut behind him. Clara presses her forehead against the wood, her chest heavy with dread. Later, sitting at the kitchen table with her mother's locket in her palm, Clara whispers to herself, "You married a man in a coma for them, for Mom, for survival. But what about you, Clara? Who's going to save you?" The question hangs in the air, unanswered. She picks up her sketchbook, the one thing she's kept since high school, its pages filled with charcoal portraits and half-finished landscapes. She flips to a blank sheet and starts to draw, not Ethan's face, but her mother's smile, fragile and brave. The pencil trembles in her hand. By midnight, Clara is back in the hospital room, sitting at Ethan's bedside. The machines hum steadily. She pulls her chair close, setting the sketchbook on her lap. "I don't know if you can hear me," she says softly, "but I'm your wife now. Strange, isn't it? A wife you never chose." She pauses, her voice trembling. "They said I had no choice, that this was the only way to keep my mom alive. Maybe you'd understand, or maybe you'd hate me if you knew, but at least one of us should survive this arrangement." Her gaze drifts to the gold ring on her finger. It feels heavy, like a shackle. She takes her mother's locket, opens it, and places it beside Ethan's hand on the blanket. "Don't worry, I won't take anything from you. I'll just stay here until one of us finds a way out." The monitors keep their steady rhythm, indifferent. But somewhere in the silence, Clara feels the weight of her own promise settle like stone. For the first time in her life, survival isn't about saving herself. It's about keeping her mother alive, even if it costs her everything else. The morning sun struggles through gray clouds as Clara signs into the hospital visitor's log again. She has already memorized the rhythm of these halls, the squeak of shoes on linoleum, the smell of disinfectant, the way nurses' voices drop when they pass her. She carries her satchel close, her sketchbook tucked inside, along with her mother's unpaid prescriptions. When she steps into Ethan's room, the machines greet her with their familiar hum. The steady green line across the monitor is the only proof of his survival. She pulls the chair closer, her body heavy from another sleepless night. A soft knock breaks the silence. A man in a gray suit enters, holding a clipboard. He doesn't smile. "Mrs. Cole, I presume?" Clara straightens, uncomfortable at the title. "Yes. I'm Andrew Fletcher, legal counsel for the Cole estate." His tone is clipped, rehearsed. "We need to formalize certain agreements regarding your role as Ethan's spouse." Hare's stomach tightens. "Agreements?" He sets the clipboard on the side table, flipping to the top page. "There are expectations. You will not make public appearances without approval. You will not interfere in corporate matters. You will maintain discretion about Mr. Cole's condition. And, most importantly, you will not attempt to claim control of any assets. This marriage is recognized in law, yes. But practically, I understand, she cuts in, her voice low. This isn't about money. For the first time, he glances up, studying her face. Perhaps expecting defiance, he finds only exhaustion. He clears his throat. Good. Sign here to acknowledge. She hesitates, pen hovering over the paper. And if I refuse? Then the estate withdraws financial support, including the arrangement covering your mother's medical care. Her chest tightens, but she signs. The ink bleeds into the paper, another chain locking her in place. Fletcher collects the forms without ceremony and leaves. Alone again, Clara exhales sharply, her hands trembling. She turns toward Ethan, his face calm in its stillness. Did you know they would do this to me? She whispers. Your family, your lawyers, they treat me like I'm invisible. Her voice breaks. She rests her forehead against the side of the bed. I didn't want your money. I only wanted my mother to live. That night, Clara stays later than usual. She adjusts Ethan's blanket, careful with the tubes. The soft rhythm of his breathing, assisted by machines, fills the silence. She hums under her breath, the same lullaby her mother once sang. Her sketchbook rests open on her lap, pencil lines capturing his profile. Each stroke feels strange, sketching a man who doesn't know her name, whose hand bears a ring identical to hers. As she draws, she murmurs, If you wake up, Ethan, you'll probably hate me. You'll think I trapped you. But I swear, I never wanted this. The following afternoon, Clara walks through the hospital cafeteria, her tray holding only a cup of soup and stale bread. She scans the room, catching sight of Lydia again, laughing with another cousin. Look at her, Lydia says loudly, not caring who hears. Mrs. Cole, sitting there like she belongs, a charity case in thrift store shoes. I bet she doesn't last a month. Heat rises in Clara's cheeks. She turns away, swallowing her pride, but her chest burns. She reminds herself why she endures this, her mother's treatment, the promise she made. That evening, when Clara returns to Ethan's side, she notices something different. His hand has shifted slightly, the fingers bent where before they were straight. She freezes, her heart racing. Ethan, she whispers. No response. The monitors beep steadily, unchanged. She shakes her head quickly, dismissing it as her imagination. Still, she reaches out, gently touching his hand. It is warm, real, alive. A tear slips down her cheek. She brushes it away and leans closer. If you can hear me, if there's even a chance, please know I'm not your enemy. I'm just trying to survive. The machines keep their rhythm, indifferent. But Clara swears, in that fragile moment, that his hand twitched again, small, almost invisible, but enough to stir hope she never dared to hold. Back in her apartment later that night, Clara curls on the sofa beside her mother, who drifts in and out of shallow sleep. Clara doesn't mention the twitch. She keeps it locked in her chest, a secret between her and the man in the hospital bed. Her eyes close, exhaustion pulling her under. For the first time since the forced wedding, her dreams are not of chains or contracts, but of a hand that might one day hold hers willingly. The storm outside is finally cleared, but inside street, Vincent's, Clara feels as though the sky has only grown heavier. Days stretch into weeks, marked not by calendar pages but by the steady beep of the heart monitor. She arrives every morning, her satchel heavy with sketchbooks and bills, and leaves every night when her mother's voice on the phone reminds her to get some rest. One morning, as she settles into her usual chair, a nurse pokes her head in. Mrs. Cole, the family requested you join dinner at the estate tonight. Formal attire. Clara blinks. Dinner? Why me? Appearances, the nurse replies, shrugging. They want to keep things neat for the press. That evening, Clara stands before the towering gates of the Cole estate. The mansion rises like something out of a museum's stone columns, sweeping windows, manicured gardens glowing under lantern light. She smooths her thrifted dress, borrowed heels pinching her toes. The butler leads her inside, past walls lined with oil paintings and crystal chandeliers that glitter as if mocking her. At the long dining table, relatives already wait. Lydia's smirk greets her first. Aunt Margaret sits at the head, her posture rigid, her voice cutting. Clara, finally, sit. Clara obeys, lowering herself onto the velvet chair. Before her is a spread of food that could pay her rent for months: steak, roasted vegetables, fine wine. She lifts her fork slowly, painfully aware of the eyes watching. "So," Lydia begins, swirling her glass, "how does it feel to be Mrs. Cole? Quite an upgrade from your little apartment, I imagine." Clara stiffens. "I don't see it as an upgrade. It's just circumstances." Lydia laughs. "Circumstances? You mean fortune. Don't pretend this isn't the best thing that's ever happened to you." The table chuckles softly. Clara grips her fork tighter, but keeps her voice even. "The best thing in my life is still my mother. And this marriage was never about fortune." The room stills. Surprise, flickering across a few faces. Aunt Margaret clears her throat sharply, redirecting the conversation to company stocks. Clara lowers her gaze, her cheeks burning, but her pride intact. Later, back in Ethan's hospital room, Clara exhales, her nerves finally loosening. She opens her sketchbook, flipping past portraits until she finds the page she began yesterday. Ethan's face stares back in charcoal lines, closed eyes, stillness captured in strokes. She sets pencil to paper again. "You missed dinner," she whispers. "Your family paraded me like a pawn. But you know what? I didn't let them break me. Maybe you'd be proud of that. Or maybe you'd laugh at me. I don't know." She leans closer, almost conspiratorial. "You know, Ethan, when I walked into that mansion, I felt like an imposter. But when I walked out, I realized something. I might not have their wealth, but I have something they'll never touch. My word, my dignity, and that's worth more than gold." The monitor beeps steadily, as if agreeing. Clara smiles faintly, though exhaustion tugs at her eyes. The following week, Clara notices something undeniable. While adjusting Ethan's pillow, she feels pressure against her wrist, slight, but real. She gasps, staring at his hand. The fingers twitch again, deliberate this time. "Ethan?" Her voice is a whisper, but her heart races like thunder. The monitors remain steady. No alarms, no sudden spikes. But she knows what she felt. Tears sting her eyes as she clasps his hand between both of hers. "Please, keep fighting. I'll be here. I promise." She doesn't notice the nurse who steps into the room, witnessing the moment quietly before slipping back out, a faint smile on her lips. That night, Clara returns home to her mother. She helps her into bed, adjusting the blankets, spooning medicine carefully. Her mother studies her face, tired but curious. "You look different," she says softly. "Like you're carrying hope again." Clara hesitates, then smiles. "Maybe I am." Her mother reaches for her hand. "Whatever happens, remember you deserve more than surviving. You deserve to live." Clara squeezes her hand tightly, her chest aching with both love and fear. She doesn't confess about Ethan's hand twitch, not yet. Some secrets feel too fragile to expose. Back at the hospital the next day, Clara sets her sketchbook aside and sings quietly the same lullaby her mother once sang to her. Her voice wavers at first, but steadies as the words fill the room. For a fleeting second, she swears Ethan's eyelids flutter. Just once, barely noticeable. Her breath catches. She leans closer, heart pounding. "Ethan, can you hear me?" No answer. Silence, save for the rhythm of the machines. But Clara can't shake the feeling that something inside him is stirring. For the first time, the weight of her forced marriage feels less like chains and more like a door one she never expected might open. The hospital feels different tonight. Clara can't explain why, but the air is heavier, charged, like something is about to change. She pulls her chair to Ethan's bedside, sketchbook balanced on her knees. The monitors hum steadily. His hand lies motionless, yet she can't stop staring, waiting for another twitch, another sign she wasn't imagining everything. She opens her sketchbook, revealing the portrait she's been working on for weeks. Ethan's face, strong and sharp, even in stillness, drawn line by line during lonely nights. She places the page gently on the table beside him. "You don't know me," she whispers, her voice trembling, "but I know you more than anyone now. Every day I sit here, I learn the shape of your face, the sound of your breath, the rhythm of these machines. And I keep asking myself, what will happen when you wake up and see me?" Her throat tightens. "Will you hate me? Will you think I stole your life?" The door creaks open. Lydia steps in, perfume thick, heels clicking against the tiles. She eyes Clara with disdain. "Still here? How touching. Playing the devoted wife to a man who doesn't even know your name." Clara stiffens. I'm here because no one else island. Lydia smirks. Don't flatter yourself. You're here because my aunt controls you. Because without this arrangement, your mother wouldn't last a month. You think Ethan will ever accept you when he wakes? He'll throw you out the second he learns the truth. The words slice deep, but Clara refuses to flinch. Then I'll face that when it happens. At least I'll know I stayed when everyone else abandoned him. Lydia laughs coldly and sweeps out, leaving only the echo of her heels behind. Clara sits again, her hands trembling but her resolve hardening. She picks up Ethan's hand, cradling it gently between hers. I don't care what they say. You're not just a contract to me anymore. You're a man who deserves someone by his side. So if you can hear me, Ethan, fight. Please fight. For a long moment, nothing. Then his fingers twitch. Not once, but twice. Clara gasps, tears springing to her eyes. Ethan! Oh my God, you can hear me, can't you? The monitors remain steady, but she knows it wasn't her imagination this time. Her heart pounds as she presses his hand to her chest. I'm here, she whispers fiercely. I'll be here until the day you open your eyes. No matter what anyone says, I won't leave you. The room is silent, but alive with possibility. And for the first time since the wedding, Clara allows herself to believe Ethan Cole might return to her. And when he does, the world around them will never be the same. The news of Ethan's awakening spreads like wildfire. Within hours, the once quiet hospital room is flooded with family, lawyers, and business associates. Cameras flash in the hallway, reporters shouting questions that security quickly muffles. Clara stays at his side, small and unnoticed, clutching her sketchbook like a shield. Aunt Margaret pushes forward, her smile tight and rehearsed. Ethan, thank God you're awake. The company has been waiting for your leadership. We must discuss the board meeting at once. Ethan leans back against the pillows, exhaustion written across his face. Not now. But the shareholders. I said not now. His voice is still weak, but the authority in it silences her. Margaret's eyes flick toward Clara, narrowing with disdain. And you, how convenient that you married into this family during his weakest moment. I should have known you'd cling like a leech. Clara's stomach twists, but before she can respond, Ethan's gaze hardens. Enough! She stayed when all of you left. Show her respect. The room stills. Lydia lets out a sharp laugh, breaking the silence. Respect? Ethan, do you even know who she is? That girl isn't the fiancé you promised to marry. She's her sister. Clara freezes, blood draining from her face. Ethan turns to her slowly. Is that true? Her lips part, but no sound comes out. Margaret seizes the opening, voice sharp. Yes, your real fiancé ran away, and this girl was shoved in her place. It was all arranged to protect your image, to keep the contracts valid. She tricked you, Ethan. The words hang heavy in the sterile room. Clara feels the walls closing in. She grips the sketchbook tighter, her nails digging into the cardboard cover. Finally, she whispers, I didn't trick you. I never wanted this. They forced me. My mother's treatment was on the line. I signed because I had no choice. Oh, tears blur her vision, but her voice grows stronger. Every day since that wedding, I sat here with you. Not for money, not for them. For you, because I couldn't leave you alone. Silence follows, broken only by the steady beep of the monitor. Ethan's eyes search hers, conflict flickering in their depths. His jaw tightens. I need time. The words slice deeper than any insult. Clara nods, backing away from the bed. Her chest burns as she pushes past Margaret and Lydia, their triumphant smirks following her out the door. That evening, Clara sits alone in her apartment, the locket clutched in her palm. Her mother sleeps peacefully in the next room, unaware of the storm tearing through her daughter's heart. Clara opens her sketchbook, staring at the half-finished portrait of Ethan. The lines blur as her tears fall onto the page. You woke up, Ethan, she whispers into the silence. But maybe it would have been better if you hadn't looked at me that way, like I was just another lie. Her phone buzzes, a message from Lydia. Leave quietly, and we'll keep paying for your mother. Stay, and you'll both regret it. Clara closes the phone with trembling hands. She leans back, eyes on the ceiling, torn between fear and the faint spark of hope that Ethan might see the truth one day. For now, All she can do is wait and pray that the choice she made in desperation will not cost her the only chance at real love she has ever known. The boardroom at Cole Enterprises gleams with glass and chrome, its long polished table crowded with shareholders and relatives. Ethan, still pale but upright, sits at the head in a tailored suit. His presence commands the room, though the faint stiffness in his movements reveals how recently he left the hospital bed. Clara stands quietly near the door, clutching her sketchbook like armor. Aunt Margaret clears her throat, her voice carrying across the table. We must address the obvious. Ethan, while you were incapacitated, this marriage was arranged under questionable circumstances. For the sake of the company's reputation, it should be annulled immediately. Murmurs ripple through the room. Lydia leans forward, eyes sharp. She deceived you, Ethan. The press will devour this if they learn your wife isn't the woman you promised to marry. Clara's cheeks burn. She wants to shrink back, disappear. But Ethan raises his hand, silencing them. His eyes settle on Clara. Is that what you believe? That she deceived me? The room waits. Clara swallows hard, stepping forward. Her voice trembles, but she forces it steady. I never lied to you, Ethan. I never claimed to be someone else. They put me in that chapel, shoved a ring on my finger, and told me if I didn't go through with it, my mother would lose her treatment. I hated myself for agreeing. But once it was done, I couldn't abandon you. Not when you had no one else. No. She opens her sketchbook, flipping through pages filled with charcoal portraits Ethan's face from every angle, drawn in long nights by his bedside. She places it on the table, pushing it toward him. This is what I did when you slept. Not plotting, not scheming. Just sitting there, reminding myself that you were human, not just a name on a contract. Gasps circle the table. Even Margaret falters. Ethan picks up the sketchbook, flipping through slowly. His fingers linger on the page where his hand is drawn, held in hers. His expression shifts hardness, melting into something raw, unguarded. Finally, he looks up. While my so-called family negotiated profits, Clara sat beside me. She is the only reason I am here today. This marriage may have started under false pretenses, but the only deceit I see belongs to those who used me as a bargaining chip. He turns toward Margaret, his voice cold. From this day forward, she is my wife, not a stand-in, not a pawn, and anyone who challenges her challenges me. The boardroom falls silent. Lydia's smirk vanishes. Margaret's face hardens, but she says nothing. Clara's breath catches. Relief floods her, mingled with disbelief. For weeks she had braced for rejection, but now Ethan's words wrap around her like armor. As the meeting disperses, Ethan approaches her quietly. Clara, I can't erase the way this began, but I want to choose now. I want to choose you. Her eyes sting with tears. She whispers, why? After everything? He closes the sketchbook gently, handing it back. Because you stayed, and in every page I can see the truth. In that moment, surrounded by the remnants of power and wealth, Clara realizes the contract that once chained her has transformed into something neither she nor Ethan could have predicted. A promise born of choice. The weeks after the boardroom showdown pass like a blur. The press speculates wildly, but Ethan shields Clara from every question, every flashing camera. When reporters swarm outside the hospital, he takes her hand firmly, declaring in front of them all, "This is my wife. I stand by her." The clip spreads online, shocking those who had doubted her, silencing whispers that she was just a desperate stand-in. At home, in their quiet apartment, Clara watches the video once, then closes the laptop quickly. She isn't used to being defended. All her life, she has been the one fighting, bending, sacrificing. Now someone fights for her. Her mother's health improves as treatments continue, and one evening she clasps Clara's hand, smiling weakly. "I told you, sweetheart, you deserve more than survival. Look at you now." Clara presses her forehead to her mother's. "I only got here because of him, because he believed me when no one else did." One crisp autumn morning, Ethan invites Clara to the estate gardens. The leaves burn gold and crimson, the air sharp with the scent of pine. She walks beside him, still nervous in the shadow of wealth. But his hand in hers steadies her. At the center of the garden, Under a stone arch twined with roses, a small gathering waits, just a few trusted friends, a handful of loyal employees, and her mother in a wheelchair, eyes bright with joy. Clara blinks in surprise. "Ethan, what is this?" He turns to her, holding a velvet box. Inside gleams a simple diamond ring, not a contract, not a formality, but a promise. "Our first wedding was forged in lies and desperation," he says, his voice steady. "But this one, I want it to be our choice. I don't want a contract, Clara. I want you." Her breath catches as tears spill freely. "Ethan," he kneels, the most powerful man she has ever known made vulnerable before her. "Will you marry me again, not as a duty, but as my partner, my equal, my love?" Clara's hands fly to her mouth, her heart pounding. For a moment, she sees the past, the hospital chapel, the ink on the paper, the loneliness that weighed like chains. And now, here, the chains have fallen away. "Yes," she whispers, then stronger. "Yes, Ethan, 1,000 times yes." The small crowd cheers softly as he slips the ring onto her finger. He rises, pulling her into his arms. For the first time, the kiss they share isn't forced by circumstance, but born of choice. Later that night, in their modest apartment, instead of the mansion, Clara places her sketchbook on the shelf, beside her mother's locket. Ethan wraps an arm around her shoulders, studying the charcoal drawings that captured the days he lost. "You kept me alive in those pages," he murmurs. She leans against him, smiling. "And you gave me a reason to keep drawing." Outside the window, city lights shimmer, ordinary and extraordinary all at once. Their story had begun in silence, in contracts and fear, but it ends here, in truth, in love, in the promise of a life neither of them ever expected. For Clara, what began as the cruelest mistake became the greatest blessing. And for Ethan, the man who once lay silent in a hospital bed, the choice to love her is the only contract that will ever matter.